guys, it's April. It's February wrap-up time. February's over. The full month is gone. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I got a new hair color, so that's a thing. Seem to almost smash my bookshelves now. So wrapping up February, I already have the first half of the month reading wrapped up, so if you want to check that out, I have the link up above and down below, so you can go do that. So this wrap up will just be the last 2 weeks of February. And besides that, I have some exciting news. I actually got a P.O. box. Why? Because I like mail. So if you want to send me mail, you can send me mail to that P.O. box. I will link the information down below in case you want to do that. I won't say no. Mail makes me really, really happy. Like really, really, really happy. And I also want to remind you that Read-O-Rama is going to be happening fairly shortly, in about a week. That's going to be a thing. I will have a TBR up soon, and I hope to see you guys there because it's going to be the first Read-A-Thon that I will have ever hosted. If you could be there, that would be awesome. So now for the real reason that you probably clicked on this video, and that is the wrap up of the last half of this month. I did a pretty decent job. I actually got more nonfiction books in there than I was anticipating, which is kind of fun. The first book that I read for the last half of this month was Shearwater by Derek Murphy. This is the story of Claire, whose parents tragically die, and so she is shipped off to her grandfather's in Ireland to live and restart her life. While she's there, she starts to realize that she didn't know much about her mother and there might be something darker in her past. This is a supernatural romance that has to deal with the ocean, so you can kind of guess where some of this is going to lead. Unfortunately, I did not really connect with this story at all. A lot of the characters seemed really flat and very stereotypical, and I didn't enjoy reading it, and I found myself just like speeding through it, so I will not be continuing on in this series. Okay. I don't think people want to see your butt, cat. Nope. I don't think they do. I then did another buddy read with Shayla, and that was Roseblood by A.G. Howard. This is the story of Ruin, who ends up at a boarding school that is very reminiscent of the place that inspired Phantom of the Opera. This is a Phantom of the Opera spin, and so you have the Phantom and you've got Ruin, and it pulls in a lot of those story elements, but it also adds this little twist to it, which I have always seen some of the parallels between the Phantom of the Opera and Dracula, and that kind of pulls some of that in together, and I really did enjoy it for those darker aspects. I know that the Phantom of the Opera isn't a true romance between the Phantom and his star, and it never should be because it is just dark and it's creepy, but the way that this story kind of twisted and continues on in the tale of what could have inspired the Phantom of the Opera and what the continuation of that is, it's very intriguing, and I like some of the supernatural elements that were brought in. Parts of it did feel kind of YA kitschy, but this was one of those reads that I liked. I really did like. I then picked up Lose the Clutter, Lose the Weight by Peter Walsh. This is just a self-help book on how to clean out your house and lose weight at the same time. With my wedding coming up, I know it's really far off, but with it coming up, I'm just trying to figure out ways in which to make myself and my house compensate for things that are going to be happening. So this was one of those things I just saw on the shelf and I'm like, why not try it? I don't know. I mean, some of it is just that pure sense, and part of it is some of the psychological things that go into collecting clutter and collecting weight, which can be triggered by the same things, which I found really interesting. But at the same time, this book is probably geared towards people who have hit a point in their life where there's just too much. And while you can see the grand total of my book collecting behind me, I'm not ready to get rid of any of them. And then I read Lion in the Living Room by Abigail Tucker. This is the story of how cats have been domesticated and whether or not they're truly domesticated, because cats are these weird beasts. They're not like dogs in which they're people pleasers and they were developed to do jobs and tasks and all of that. Cats are these elements that we have brought into our home for no apparent reason. They have no rhyme or reason other than just to be there. And sometimes they don't even care if they're there or not. I found this really, really interesting, being a cat person myself, with, of course, the girls, as you have seen every once in a while. She does dive into ancient cats and then the current breed denominations that are happening today. And then of course the internet of cats, because everyone knows the internet is for cats. So if you have any interest in the history of cats or cats in general, I highly recommend this book. I truly enjoyed it, and it is going to be one of those ones that I'm going to look to put onto my shelf at some point because I liked it. And finally, I picked up Wind Witch by Susan Dennard. This continues the journey of Safi and Isolde as they continue to figure out their place in the world and to help their country and the people they know, and just the mass adventures that seem to be pulling them in. They are learning more about themselves and about their power and about the political unrest that is going on all around them and how they could possibly be making a difference. Like I said about the first book, I really like the friendship between Safi and Isolde and how truly connected they are and how that female relationship works. I do also enjoy the magical system of this realm, and I have no idea where any of this is going, but it will be interesting to see how the story continues from here. So those are all of the books that I read in the last half of February. March has already started, and so has my reading, and of course there is going to be Read-O-Rama in March. So we shall see how that affects my reading as it stands right now. Hoping to give it a little kick with that Read-A-Thon and just the adventure that all of that can bring. I am also thinking about vlogging every day of that Read-A-Thon. I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it, but if that is something that you guys would be interested in, let me know down below. And also remember that I now have a P.O. box, so if you want to send me cards or letters or just love, that's a thing. I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.